What's up everybody, Renfail here, and today we're diving into the new gameplay options that dropped with the May 15th update for Starfield, which are all of these survival mode options that people have been raving about. Now it's a little different than the Fallout 4 version where they just sort of say, here's survival mode, all this stuff is turned on, you can't really tweak a bunch of the options, but it's just really hardcore, because here, you, the player, get to define how hardcore your playthrough is. Now, if you've been watching my second playthrough of Starfield, ever since the new update drop, I have been playing with normal mode turned on pretty much for everything, for all of these new options. And again, these are all new options. The only thing I've turned on that is slightly more difficult is I've turned on weighted ammo, which gives me an additional 4% XP, and I've turned sustenance on, which means that I have positive and negative. Well, there's ways you can tweak this, but I have the positive and negative turned on so that I get malnourished and dehydrated if I don't eat. But there's also some pretty significant bonuses when you do have food and water running. So let's kind of go through this and explain how this all works for everybody so that if you wanted to dive into the survival mode, you can. And again, this is all about you tweaking it the way you want for your playthrough, because everybody's different. If you watched my first playthrough of Starfield when the game first launched, I played it on easy mode because I just wanted the story. This time around, because I already know most of the story, I've been very happily pleased with the normal mode on all of these. It feels sufficiently difficult for me, but I'm not everybody. Some people want a super hardcore experience. So what does that look like? So the base normal for everything, if I were to turn these back to normal mode, you'll notice that up on the top right there is a total XP, either positive or negative, you'll notice here, and that's because it just depends on how easy are you playing or how hardcore are you playing. Base game, everything normal, things like sustenance off, ammo weight off, you're not going to get any XP bonuses. But the moment you start adding hardcore options, you start getting XP bonuses. So by putting sustenance positive only, which would be super easy, you have a negative XP because you have a penalty because you're like, oh, I'm so easy, yeah, we're going to take that XP away from you. But you want something that's a little more challenging, well then here you go, we'll give you a bonus. Ammo weight on, it's going to give me another slight bonus, and we can go from there. So every one of these has multiple options that you can go through. So enemy combat damage as an example, very easy. Enemies deal little damage, very little. They do less damage on easy mode. They do normal damage on standard mode, and then hard, they do more, very hard, and then extreme for those of you who are psychos. And then the same for player combat damage. Like, how do you want your damage to be? Do you want to do extra? Do you want to do less? So on and so forth. What about enemy ship damage? Now, this is one I've seen a lot of players talk about because they're coming over from, say, Fallout or Skyrim, the Elder Scrolls series, whatever, and they're not used to the ship combat, and so they've said, we had this discussion in stream the other day. I'm not good at combat, or I don't really want to deal with the ship combat, and that's great. You don't have to if you don't want to. I would highly recommend that you just come in here and say, you know what, enemy ship damage, let's just turn that all the way to very easy, and player ship damage, let's go ahead and how much damage we deal to enemies, you know, let's turn that up. Then we can go into things like carry capacity. Hang on, let me put that back to normal so I don't accidentally forget about that. Carry capacity is another one where how much you want to be encumbered. Now, I have found the existing encumberment system in Starfield to already be pretty extreme because you can't scavenge things like you can in, say, Fallout. So you're pretty limited in how much you can carry around, especially when you start talking like spacesuits, because they weigh a lot. So if you're trying to carry things back to your ship to take back to port to sell, this can be pretty gnarly, but you can adjust it as you want. Cargo access distance is another fun one because it says how far away can you access your ship's cargo. So anywhere means literally anywhere. Normal is only when near the ship. I believe it's 200 meters if I'm not mistaken. And then there's also only while inside your ship if you want to do it that way, which would be more realistic for those of you who want to go for like the hardcore super realistic mode. Vendor credits is one. I don't know why I would ever tweak this one, but some people do. This is how many credits that vendors have access to. Now, I think that this is one where if you are playing the game and you are kind of like, hey, you know what, the 5,000 credits or whatever it is that most vendors seem to have, feels limiting. I want to be able to sell more at one place without needing to run around and sell at 20 different vendors. You might want to adjust this accordingly so that you can have greatly increased so that they all have more credits to purchase from you. Then there's how much do the medical items heal you for? Med packs, trauma packs, emergency kits, so on and so forth. And don't forget also when you're in game, you can adjust this based on the there's a nutrition perk that you can take. Not a nutrition perk, sorry. That's the food one. There's a perk you can take that also affects how the items heal you, and that stacks with this, so you can get additional. Same thing with the food healing. So keep that in mind. Then this is the one that a lot of people have talked about because they're coming over from Fallout 4's hardcore mode, like the hardcore survival mode, and saying, well, I don't want to be able to, have my ailments healed when I'm sleeping. So full restore gives you all health and cures afflictions. Normal mode restores health anywhere you sleep, but doesn't cure afflictions. And then there is location limited, where you can only sleeping to restore health in ships, outposts, and settlements, and then none. You just don't get any health back by sleeping. It's just rest, which I don't know who would choose that option, but there are crazy people out there that love it. There's also combat affliction gain. How often do you want to gain afflictions from combat? I find normal is pretty good for those who just want like a base challenge, because I end up having afflictions happen, I would say, about every third or fifth fight, between 3 and 5 fights, which feels pretty good to me. A lot of it's just situational, based on cover and how close you're allowing guys to get you, or if they're throwing grenades at you and things of that nature. Then there's affliction treatment. How do your treatments actually work at curing you? So that's another way. And a prognosis is, this one's interesting. It says sets how prognosis affects an affliction's chance to improve and cure, and adds a chance to worsen or gain infections when prognosis is poor. That one's tricky because it kind of depends on how bad your affliction is. So normal, your afflictions have no chance to worsen or gain, but advanced means they have a chance to worsen or gain the infection and have a better chance to cure and improve. Quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload, or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. And that's crazy when you're running around and having things happen to you like from environmental damage, like when it's super cold, or you got into some poison, or you stepped in some nasty water, or some gas or something. It's pretty groovy. And this also applies to the environmental damage and afflictions. How does this happen? There's also the environmental damage restoration. So do you get like normal mode, are you then restored while you're in a breathable location unexposed to environmental damage? Because this is one where if you're out and it's super hot or it's super cold, and then you get inside of an interior, do you start healing, or are you still going to be hurt by that? Now, I suck at aiming, and this is one of the biggest in my mind, because I play on the Xbox Series X. This was one of the biggest improvements to me that came with the performance update as well, with the 60 frames mode and all these changes on May 15th. Because if you're someone like me who really sucks at aiming, especially if you're coming over from Fallout and you're used to the VAT system, aim assistance is a big deal. Like, I have it turned on all the way to max because I just suck at gameplay. So for those of you who are out there like me, somebody out there is going to probably leave a comment that says, "Get good, noob," and you're probably right, but I don't need to get good. I'm older, and I prefer to have it just give me as much assistance as possible, because the combat and the gunplay, I find it to be way more fun when I'm actually able to hit things. And I'm so old now that I don't care about Twitch-based gameplay, so being able to have that on makes my life so much easier. Then there's how often do you want to be able to save? Do you want to save on rest? Do you want to save on wait? Do you want to save on travel? And then on pause, it enables an autosave when pausing the game after the specified time. So there are a lot of options in here to tweak, as you can see. And the best part about this in my mind is the ability to give you, the player, the agency, the direct control of how hardcore do you want your survival mode to be? Or do you not want to do survival mode at all? If you don't, you just turn ammo weight off, you turn sustenance back off, and you have no bonuses, you have no cons, no pros, no cons. It's just a 0 XP rate, and everything is just normal, and then you can go about playing your game as if it was a normal mode, just as if it was the base game experience that launched. Or you can go in here and tweak things how you want, like I've done, and have a survival experience that suits your desires in the game. Hopefully you found this useful. If you did, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Daily streams here and on Twitch. There's a Patreon and a Discord, and you can get a copy of my latest fantasy novel in the links below. We'll see you in the next one, everybody. Stay safe.